right. One more time. Spiritually and how to get there through meditation and disconnecting from the desire and the fear, and how God's a singularity, right? So imagine that there was a point in time when everything in this whole universe was one, just one, not like divided, not separated, but just one. Stop and think about that first for a second. Imagine it's just you. It's not like there's space going on forever outside of you. It's just that there's nothing. Because if there's no other matter, it's just empty all around you. And you're the only thing in all of existence. Now tell me that's not hell, like right there. Because I think it is. That's why I think God made creation. And so at any point, though, in time, if God was ever a singularity, which we know God is, right? God's one, or zero, ground zero, one thing. Then in order to have creation, God had to take parts of himself, just like he took Eve out of Adam. God had to take parts of himself and make them into matter, like, the chair I'm sitting on, or the cup I'm drinking out of, or where you're sitting, right? And you can go through the whole creation thing, but it basically, every particle, because it was once part of that singularity, and because the world was spoken into existence, which is a vibration, that's how you also entangle particles. Every single thing and every single person in this universe is all connected, right? So the way that you treat someone else is actually exactly, if you are purposefully and with your intent, or just not caring, and so you're hurting someone unnecessarily, you're actually hurting God, right? So when we are abusive to other people, that's just a fact. Now, the next thing is that because of the nature of God, every single thing has to have balance. Think of the yin yang symbol, or the feather of Ma'at that would go on the scales of justice in the Egyptian stuff, or Daniel's, writing on the wall, and you've been weighed in the balance, and found wanting. There's always a balance. So if you take from somewhere, then you have to give it to somewhere else. So that should give everybody who's had a really shitty life some encouragement, because when you suffer wrongfully, or when you work for things and you earn them, or you even work and maybe you don't even get what you deserve, right? But you accept it. Then you've also now accepted, God said, all right, you're accepted to get extra blessing. That's why the poor and the meek of the earth are extra blessed. So, that doesn't mean people who are like, hey, help other people be bad because they allow them to abuse them unnecessarily. I'm saying people who are really, truly, starving, and women who are kidnapped in northern Africa by Muslim tribes and things like that, when there's an imbalance, there has to be on one side, there is on the other. And that's kind of that. So that's the quantum physics part of it. So when we say that God is one, and that you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength, or your might, however you want to put it, it's to say that you have to unify, that God is one, and that you love the one more than you love the part. And that sounds confusing, but it's like this. If I were to love my hand so much, then I would never work with it, and I would never take care of the rest of my body, right? So the whole dang thing would rot and die because the hand's not working and it's not feeding me. So, like, if I just love this part, the whole thing gets sick. You have to love the whole thing, right? And God as a body is one thing. Even his angels are attributes of his nature, created by time, which is the fracturing. As we go towards God, we don't come to God straight on with our heart and our soul and our mind all aligned. And so it causes God to become like a split personality. And that's how that's why we'll perceive Satan when we go towards God, because we're not going towards God as one, the whole thing. And you're not going through the gate of mercy. You have to go through the east gate. That's beautiful. You have to go through mercy to access the other attributes of God, his severity, all of it. Because mercy is like the center beam of balance for the whole dang thing, all right? So that's the quantum physics part. So in your like order of operations in life, you have your faith, which is like loving the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, right? Then you have family. And that is your priority right after God, right? Because that's what God did. God was one, and then what did he do? He put a mirror up and he created creation, right? Out of his own self, his family. So your family is right at enemies and friends. So as you go through life, you say like, who's your friend and who's the enemy? Who, how, it's not saying like, who do you feed or who do you treat right? Like the sun, which is merciful and comes up in the east, and the sun gives light to everything. In fact, there has to be divine intervention, like clouds and things, to prevent the sun from hitting something. So when you come in through mercy, it's you're feeding everybody. God cares about people's hungry bellies, even if they're going, their heart's not right with him in any way. He still cares about the hunger in their stomach, because it's the nature of God is to provide. All the bugs, all the bees, everything on this planet gets provided for because God really cares about it. And if you think about it, that's a lot of creatures getting fed every day perfectly on time. So friends are God's friends. That's what David was talking about in the Psalm. Get the 10 and figure that out. The part is the repeat. How do you judge anything that's happened to you? It's not if you do a whole bunch of it. It's if you do a little bit every single day, and that's consistency. And consistency is commitment, duty. Be bugging me here. Lastly, the image. Let's get this. Okay, so this thing keeps going on. This thing's just not working. So